Thank you, colleagues, education advocates, and most importantly, students, for coming out this morning. I am so pleased and honored to see so many of you here this morning. Yesterday was National Higher Education Day, a reminder that higher education can and should be accessible to all. This day could not be more important as we and students emerge from the pandemic. It is why it is so fitting to talk about financial aid reform today. The importance of financial aid to California students cannot be understated. For many California families, access to financial aid is the single determining factor between choosing to pursue higher education or not, especially for low-income students, first-generation students, and students of color. We have the largest state financial aid system in the country, and we should be proud of the 400,000 students it serves every year. Yet more than ever, we have the responsibility to fix the gaps in the system that leaves so many students behind, unable to pursue higher education. Over the last couple of years, I and other legislators with me have worked on modernizing and expanding the Cal Grant system. AB 1456 is the most recent legislation which streamlines Cal Grant and eliminates barriers under the Cal Grant equity framework, resulting in a more equitable system and creating a diverse workforce. We, as a legislature, have also worked to tackle Cal Grant through the budget, and I am proud to have the two chairs of the legislative budget subcommittees here with us today. Our goal is to hear from those who have been involved in those efforts and have been committed to making 2021 the year that we finally get Cal Grant reform. Aside from myself, we will be hearing from the authors of AB 1456, which just passed off the Assembly floor with 78 votes, including Assembly members McCarty and Senator Leyva. We are also joined by Senators Min and Senator John Laird of the Senate Budget Subcommittee on Education and Marlene Garcia of the California Commission on Student Aid, who will discuss the Cal Grant Equity Framework. Andrew Nickens and Jasmine Prasad of the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, and Kimberly Wu of Gen Up. Thank you all. I now pass the mic to my colleague and joint author of AB 1456, Assemblymember Kevin McCarty, the chair of the Assembly Budget Subcommittee on Education Finance. Assemblymember McCarty.
Thank you, Assemblymember Medina. It's great to be out here today talking about one of the most important issues of our generation. That's college affordability for our students behind us. Too often we hear about the stories of them graduating with $20,000 or $30,000 in debt. Makes it harder for them, for not only one, to finish their college degree in 4 or 5 years, but also afterwards take a job of their liking, get a head start in the economy with buying a house, starting a family. This college debt we know is crippling, so we need to do what we can to change that. And we are here today to do just that, to modernize our Cal Grant program in California, which is frankly one of the envies of the world is college affordability. But we know that college financial aid isn't just about tuition. It's the other cost. It's books and food and transportation and most importantly, housing. And with our modernization, we're going to make sure that college is more affordable. And frankly, this sounds like a far-fetched reality, but we are going to make sure that college is debt-free here in California. Not free college, but debt-free. We think that by streamlining our Cal Grant program, putting more people into the pot, and putting a bit more money for stipends for non-tuition costs, that we can make it so with college students, take a look at their family contribution, working 15 hours a week. With the money we put in the budget this year, within a couple years, we can make college debt-free in California. Not free college, but debt-free. Again, back to the Cal Grant program, we have a program which is great. If you're a high school senior, you apply, it's an entitlement, it's a guarantee. But if you apply when you're 20 years old or 25, want to get your life back in order to go to your community college, you apply for the Cal Grant program, your odds are 1 in 12 of getting the Cal Grant. That is totally unfair. And last year, Senator Leyva worked on a measure to eliminate this for community college students. Assemblymember Medina and I were right behind with our companion bill. This year, we're merging as one. And with this bill, plus the budget action, we're going to expand financial aid for another 130,000 community college students that used to be eliminated through the Cal Grant rules, as well as another 40,000 CSU and UC students. This bill is going to transform lives for California college students. It's a bill. It's also, we have a $1.2 billion start in this year's budget. We're asking the governor to embrace the Joint Assembly and Senate budget plan, which reforms Cal Grant and puts us on a path to debt-free college. And this is just a great opportunity and frankly years in the making. So we thank all of our partners here today, the Student Aid Commission, our students joining us behind us with the Fix Financial Aid campaign, as well as all of our joint authors. So thank you for being here today. Who's next? Okay. Next, I'd like to bring up our senator and joint leader on this issue, Senator Connie Leyva.
Thank you, Assemblymember McCarty. I did not know we were going to be maskless. I would have put on some lipstick, so pardon me. Good morning. So excited to be here with all of you. So excited to be here with the amazing students behind us. They are truly our leaders. I am a huge community college proponent. I started my college adventure at a community college, Mount San Antonio College in Walnut, California. The best English class I had was at a community college. When we found out a few years ago that community college could cost as much or more than the attendance at a UC or a CSU, we knew we had to do something. And as you heard from both assembly members, we've been working on this for a few years. It started out as SB 219. We had to shelve it because of the pandemic, but it has come back as AB 1456. As a principal co-author, I am so happy to stand here with the two assembly members and so much other support. As you heard, it has gotten off the assembly floor. It will now come to Senate Education, of which I am the chair, and I'm very excited to hear this bill, but more excited about the difference it can make. Cal Grant reform, financial aid reform. If our students really are our future, then we have to put our money where our mouth is. So I thank everyone for all of their work on this, and I look forward to us getting it to the governor's desk and having it signed into law. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I really want to thank our legislative leaders here today, especially Assembly members Medina, McCarty, and Senator Leyva. They have championed equity-driven structural reforms to the Cal Grant program and have pushed to dramatically increase the number of students who receive financial aid. And just last week approved a historic new investment in financial aid that we have never seen in the state of California. So we have so much to celebrate in this journey to make college affordable to students. I also want to thank our student leaders who have for years now actively advocated to fix financial aid. They have remained steadfast in their commitment to making college affordable for all California students. I also would like to thank Governor Newsom for his deep commitment to economic recovery and equity in higher education. He has continued to support reducing the cost of paying for college for California students. So the Cal Grant program, as has been mentioned, is one of the most generous and lauded financial aid programs, and we're really proud of it. However, the program has structural barriers that have kept far too many of our lowest income students from getting financial aid, especially those at the community colleges and dislocated workers that are trying to upskill and reskill to get back into the workforce. The original program was developed in 1955 for a very different California student. At that time, the program was designed for students who typically went straight to college right out of high school. That no longer fits the mold of today's students. Today's students are older, more diverse, often with children, and much lower income. So the challenge today, Low-income students who want to go to college but are more than a year out of high school have only 1 in 8 or 1 in 12 chances of getting a Cal Grant. That's because they must compete for the very limited awards set aside in the Cal Grant competitive program, often referred to as the Cal Grant Lottery. The pandemic has only made things worse. 7 in 10 college students have lost some or all of their income in the past year due to COVID. So AB 1456 is a product of years of discussion and collaboration between legislative leaders, like our leaders behind us, and student groups, higher education leadership, and equity advocates who've came together in the Cal Grant Reform Work Group. So the Cal Grant Modernization or Equity Framework, as outlined in AB 1456, reflects what we heard was needed in those discussions. And here's what it does. It simplifies the program. It reduces barriers to entry. It historically expands the number of students served. So, for example, instead of having 6 various Cal Grant programs, we would be transforming that to 2 programs, Cal Grant 2 to serve community college students and Cal Grant 4 to serve 4-year institution students. And AB 1456 also aligns with the recently adopted new Pell Grant eligibility changes at the federal level. So this is an historic opportunity to expand equity and build the pool of high-skilled college graduates who we desperately need to enter California's workforce to ensure a truly inclusive economic recovery. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for being here this morning in support of Cal Grant reform. Many students, including myself, have struggled to financially stable ourselves for the full cost of college. In this past year alone, I have spent over $700 in medical expenses, while the average student pays 30 times that amount for education alone. Many students do not receive the full cost, and only 5% of tuition is covered, while students are left financially responsible to pay for the other 95%, which do not include basic needs, transportation, mental health, food, and housing. We are here today to make sure that Cal Grant is more dated and holds to the state's commitment with access and accessibility. It is important that legislators hear the students' concerns and the struggles that we meet when it comes to financial hardships. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, Andrew Nickens. I am the Vice President of Legislative Affairs for the Student Senate for California Community Colleges. I'm also a student at Folsom Lake College. Over this past year, we've asked our students to do more than ever. Students live in a time where hundreds of thousands of their friends, family, and community members have died due to COVID-19. In a time of racial reckoning, that has ignited communities to fight for civil rights and racial justice, in a time of unprecedented financial hardship as millions have lost their livelihoods. Truly, this last year has laid inequities bare that have been dimming our Golden State's gleam, its promise of hope, opportunity, and prosperity. This is a time when we're asking students to confront a trifecta of pandemics, COVID-19, systemic racism, and affordability amidst a historic economic recession. In a time when we're asking our state to do more than ever, and we're asking our students to do more than ever, we need to ask our state to do more than ever. Community college students have long been excluded from the state's financial aid system, which has discriminated against them based on factors beyond their control. These students are more often than not older, poor, people of color. These are the displaced workers, those seeking to upskill, retool, and sometimes restart. Although our community colleges are supposed to function as an access point into higher education, and is a ladder of social and economic mobility, the reality for these students is that it is anything but. As they reach the ladder to begin to climb, the rungs crumble in their hands upon the realization that the mechanisms of financial support we have constructed for them aren't designed for them. They fall and they fail, and what are we left with? A lost generation of students that have walked away from the opportunities education provides, while our post-COVID-19 world marches on in ignorance of their challenges. And so while the path to achieving racial justice is distant and fraught with challenges, and our relief from COVID-19 seems imminent as we get more people vaccinated, we have an opportunity right now to address college affordability in a meaningful way for so many who have been shut out for decades. Now is the time to fight and rise to the challenge, as so many of our students have over the last year, and adopt true financial aid reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Senator Dave Min, representing the 37th Senate District in Orange County. I'm also a former professor at UC Irvine School of Law, so I know firsthand many of the challenges that our students face in navigating financial aid and affordability. I'm here as a proud co-author of AB 1456, which, as you've heard from my colleagues, reforms our Cal Grant system and provides aid to more students. I'd like to thank the main authors of this bill, Assemblymember Medina, Assemblymember McCarty, Senator Leyva, for allowing me to be here with them and to help them fight for the benefit of our students. I'm also happy to see the chair of our Senate Budget Subcommittee number 1 on Education, Senator Laird, here for this important topic as well. Senator Laird has been a great Sub 1 chair, a great mentor for me, and I'm grateful to have worked with him a little bit on college affordability and look forward to continuing that fight in the coming years. Now, as a former University of California professor, I know from firsthand experience that our California students are struggling with affordability. They're struggling with the complexity of financial aid, and this bill will make that easier while taking an important step on the road to affordability and debt-free college. Now look, I'm the child of immigrants myself. My parents immigrated to this country in 1971. I know firsthand the importance of college education in getting us forward to the American dream. This has been the story for generations. Higher education in California has been a pipeline, a stepping stone to success. And we have to make college affordable, debt-free again. It is not a pipe dream. It was not until the 1980s that we even imposed tuition or fees on students. The idea that we have to pay thousands of dollars is a recent phenomenon, and we can get back to debt-free college. It's going to take a dedicated effort, and we're going to have to put our money where our mouth is, particularly at a time when so many students are struggling from housing insecurity, food insecurity, or homelessness. According to CSU Basic Needs Study, those students, as you'd expect, that are struggling with housing insecurity, struggling with food insecurity, are more likely to have lower academic achievement. We need to level the playing field across all levels. We need to make sure that we're giving more students aid in order to mitigate the cost of attendance, which is obviously much more than just the cost of tuition, particularly in high-cost areas like Irvine. College affordability is critical not only to student success, but it's important for the decisions that these folks behind me will have to make afterwards. And nobody should be forced into jobs they don't want because of debt that is overhanging on them. Now, I got known in my district for a quote that I say all the time. It's from the ancient Greeks. A civilization's great when its elders plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in. It's those types of forward investments that we've gotten away from as a state, as a country, and we have to get back to that. Our economy right now is incredibly strong because of the past investments that we made in college, in higher education. This is an investment in our future, and I'm proud to be a co-author of this bill and look forward to continuing this fight to make college affordable for these kids and my kids and beyond. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Senator John Laird. I'm chair of the Education Budget Subcommittee in the Senate. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. When I was budget chair before, 12 and 14 years ago, the Cal Grant program was just designed to take a small amount of money and have regulations that just excluded people till you got down to the small amount of money. When I was a community college trustee from 1994 to 2002, We never heard about homelessness among our students. We never heard about food insecurity. I hear about it now. And so this is a very important moment. Almost 2 months ago, the Senate released its Build Back Boldly proposal that included the money that almost mirrors what is in the budget now. We really said this is that once in a generation opportunity. We can make sure we don't exclude reentry students or have arbitrary grade point average levels that keep people out. And we also know that the cost of college is not just fees, it is books, it is housing, it is food. And what we're doing is that once in a generation, addressing that issue, changing it in a fundamental way. And the budget that both Assembly and Senate Budget Committees adopted last week funds this bill. Without that money, this bill would not be funded. And so thank God Senator Leyva was here and says it stands a good chance in the Senate, because it will actually fill in behind the money that's been appropriated. So I want to congratulate everybody that was here, the legislator that worked on this, and I want to say to the students, we're doing our best to meet your needs, and I think this will be a fundamental change.
Senator Kimberly, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Kimberly Wu, and I serve as a representative to over 4,000 student voices across California through the Youth Educational Advocacy Organization, GenUp. I'm also a student at UC Berkeley. Education shapes the foundation of our lives by granting our students the knowledge of the world around us and giving us the tools to improve our communities. We as students deserve a right to affordable education and an opportunity to pursue our dreams, and most importantly, a voice to develop our education. California needs AB 1456 to support all students along their path to higher education and to prioritize education as a right instead of a privilege. With AB 1456's reform into a 2-grant program, students can better access this Cal Grant award, which will allow us to focus on our educational endeavors instead of worrying about how to pay for our next meal in college. By removing barriers such as age, time out of school, and GPA requirements, AB 1456 would account for diverse educational careers, opening doors for students across all generations. AB 1456's modernized financial system would expand Cal Grant's aid to 200,000 more students, which would introduce more insightful voices of student parents, adult learners, and students of color into the classroom. As a current student activist, I strongly believe that equitable access to higher education is paramount to empowering student voices for a more passionate and equitable society. I would like to thank Assembly Members Medina and McCarty, our supportive representatives out here today, and all the student activists who have worked hard to create a more equitable and accessible framework in AB 1456. Passing AB 1456 would be a necessary and monumental victory in the fight for equitable higher education, crafting a future where all students, regardless of their zip code and their age, can pursue their passions and dreams in higher education. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, and thank you all for coming today. I want to thank my colleagues for all their work to make Cal Grant reform both a legislative and budget priority this year. Thank you to CSAC for your engagement and feedback as we try to make financial aid the service to students that it ought to be. And more importantly, thank you to all of our students for sharing your personal stories and for working with us to create a program that really works for you, the students. Throughout my years as a student, a teacher, a Board of Trustee member, and now as chair of higher education, I have witnessed the difficulties in assessing higher education. I understand that tuition is merely one hurdle, and that other, as we have heard, expenses for basic needs can make the cost of attendance insurmountable. Our job is to remove these barriers, to create a system that serves and reflects the diversities of our students. If we want to continue to be the Golden State with the most talented workforce, we need to do something about our future, and that begins with helping our students here right now. I implore the state of California to do something today. And with that, I conclude and open it up if there may be any questions from media, press. You're good. All right. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to the students. And maybe if we can come down and do a photo, all of us together. We'd like that.